Coming to you live from the Athletics Recreation Center on the campus of Opportunities University in Northwestern Indiana, just outside, about an hour and 15 outside of Chicago. This is Lutheran Basketball Association of America 2019 Tournament of Champions. We're glad you were able to join us on this live stream as the Crusaders out of Faith Lutheran from Las Vegas, Nevada, coached by Will Stelzer, take on Coach Mark Rindfleisch's St. John's Evangelical Lutheran out of Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. This is Chief Whitecloud of the Arapaho Indian Nation, also known as Willie Boyd here, and with my good friend Liam Bodlick on color commentary, and we're off to a fast start already. The Crusaders taking the ball, and Devon Rice moving up. Pardon, not Devon Rice, that was Devin Hume moving it upfield, up court. That possession is no doing, and Con Knupel brings it up for Wauwatosa.
Shots up for those Crusaders from Faith Lutheran, no good.
Well, that was by Wauwatosa. Now Faith Lutheran to the rebound. This time it is Rice bringing it up. Now back to Devin Hume. Hume tosses it to Cade Keith. Keith back to Hume. Now Hume to Brian Hannig. Hannig for three, and Hannig's three-pointer is good, and Vegas takes a 3-0 lead to start the game. 5:09 and counting in the first quarter. And Wauwatosa bringing it back up the other way.
Really, a big part of this tournament is finding the hot hand, and we could see them do that already with finding number 23 on that shot. That was Ryan Hannig. And if he can be the hot hand early on, Willie, watch out.
Yeah, you need a hot hand. Sometimes it's a matter of which team has more hot hands. There's Rice with the rebound, passing it up to Barrett Elliott. Now, and another three-pointer. That was one from Cade Keith. And the Crusaders out to an early 6-0 lead.
Absolutely, Willie. Pardon?
Nobody's been stopping and starting this. This is not, don't touch the ground. This is now a 2.5, probably a 3 terabyte file. You have to follow the directions on that sheet. Stop and start at the end of each game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You have to do it at the end of this game.
Yes, sir.
Doing all they can here to find an open look, as they've been doing a pretty good job so far of finding their open three-point shooters.
There's Rice taking the inbound out to Hannig, who has one of those. Now over to Devin Hume. Hume over to Barrett Elliott. Elliott back to Cade Keith, and now back to Hume. Hume looking around. Hume tosses it to Hannig. No, Hume keeps it driving. Dishes it to Barrett Elliott. Elliott misses, gets his own rebound. And ball was what it looked like it was about to be taken away, but a held ball called. Now Wauwatosa Lutheran. So pardon me, St. John's Wauwatosa with the ball. Moving up court is number 12, Con Knupel. Knupel over to Kale Aid, maybe? Aid? That back to Knupel. Knupel gets around Rice, but can't get a shot to go. Rebound by Aid, but now misses that one. Goes back to the Crusaders. And now a shot from Haddock off. Rebound by Barrett Elliott. Whistle, and looks like it was out of bounds.
And Willie, in the early going, we're seeing both these teams playing sort of a run-and-gun offense.
We are.
Faith Lutheran sort of a jump shot-based team, as they'll call timeout here to talk it over. And Willie, early so far in this game, what are your thoughts?
Well, the obviously working a little better for the Faith Lutheran than for Wauwatosa, who are also the Crusaders. So perhaps, simply Faith and St. John or Wauwatosa and Vegas would be the better way to describe them. But the definitely it's been working for Faith. Wauwatosa still trying to get the handle on it.
Absolutely right, Willie. As we've seen, sort of the last game I called, at least one team didn't score the entire first half. I mean, being able to find the scoring touch in this game is sort of a privilege, not a right, I guess. And both these teams have really sort of maybe not found their game exactly, but they found enough of their game that
Well,
this should be a high-scoring game.
The first half shutout was the first I've seen in 4 years I've been doing this webcast. But yes, score points not nearly as easy to come by in real life as on paper. Though there are 3 points right there from Aid, and that cuts lead down to a single point. So now 5-0 run. 5-0 run for Wauwatosa. Now a rebound by number 33, Riley Rinfleisch. I believe that would be the coach's son. And now Josh Knupel taking it up. Pass it over to Logan Rinfleisch. And now a 3-point shot is no good by Josh Knupel.
Now off and running again into the Crusaders of Las Vegas, and the shot is just off the mark. That was Devon Rice putting the speed on. He'll shoot too, but Willie, you got to think he wants that one back.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just the the 3-point play is always better than a chance for 1 or 2 points on free throws. Even if it's just a chance of the 3-point play, even if you don't convert. And see right there, you have a miss from Rice. The Crusaders do retain possession though, so that's some good coming out of it. Pass goes over to Hume. Hume out to 14. That's Ryan Schwartz in his first action. Now the ball gets kicked out to Cade Keith. No good. Barrett Elliott with the rebound. Elliott to Hannig. Hannig back to Elliott. Elliott in the corner with a tough 3. Bounces off the top of the backboard, out of bounds, and the ball returns to St. John's.
And here comes St. John's, I should say. Opportunity to cut into this lead a little bit.
That was Aid on the pass. That would have been an assist to Josh Knupel, but Knupel couldn't make it fall. Now 2 Faith Crusaders and 1 St. John's Crusader going to the ground. And ref blow the whistle. The ball will remain with Vegas.
Willie, 1:45 left in this first quarter. Still anyone's game.
Absolutely. I think the scoring floodgates are yet to open. And, obviously you want to be on the favorable side of being the first one to open the gates. As the pass goes out to Keith. Keith to Hume. Hume back to Keith. Keith looking around. Now Hannig to Howe, guarded by Josh Knupel. Back to number 14, Ryan Schwartz. Schwartz for 3, and Ryan Schwartz,
what he gives up in height, he makes up for in shooting.
That pushes the lead back up to 4 points. And now the Faith Lutheran bench, as you might see on your stream, chanting, encouraging. 3-point shot by Aid is no good. But the rebound goes to Wauwatosa by Jacob Alejandro. And now Josh Knupel drives to the basket and puts it in, so now it's 9-7. With 54, 53, 52 seconds and counting in the first quarter here in Valparaiso. The Faith Lutheran Crusaders, that's Ryan Hannig, who got the scoring start with a 3-pointer, taking it up. Hannig to Schwartz to Hume to Barrett Elliott. Now kicks it out to Cade Keith, and Cade Keith for 3, and no good. Rebound by Kale Aid. Aid over to Josh Knupel. Josh Knupel for 2. Can't get it to fall, bounce around, and Hume catches it off of Ryan Schwartz's shoulder, maybe head. Looked like it was just a shoulder. Cade Keith over to Schwartz. Schwartz taking his time, 12 seconds, 11. Looks like Faith might hold for the last shot. Hannig driving. Hank dishes it to Hume, can't get it to fall. Rebound by Barrett Elliott, and whistle. We got a foul on Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. That'll send Mr. Barrett Elliott to the free throw line with 4 seconds left.
Willie Elliott has the opportunity here to make this a 2-possession game. And with 4 seconds left in the first quarter, you have to think they want that momentum going into quarter number 2.
You sure do. And you will at least make it a 3-point game. And, at this level with points harder, especially 3-point shots not as common or easy, 3 points is more than it might be at other levels. Although obviously the first quarter isn't the place where you need to worry about that the most. As Barrett, preparing, there are some substitutions coming in. Sitting down for the Crusaders is Hume. Second free throw is no good. Rebound by Josh Knupel. Knupel, 1 second. He's got the shot off, and he gets it off. Not bad, but, off the mark as those types of shots usually are. And Faith takes a 10-7 lead into the second quarter. So, Liam, what are your thoughts as of that first quarter basketball?
Well, Ben, lots to like from either team. I mean, we saw the Faith Lutheran Crusaders sort of finding their shots and getting to the line, playing good fundamental basketball. Really the same from both. This is really the type of game where there haven't been any sort of glaring discrepancies so far. I mean, both teams playing their game, both teams sort of making their way any way that they can here. 10-7 is not an unreasonable margin for either team to win, and it should really be interesting to see who the hot hand is. I mean, we've seen good performances from Barrett Elliott. We saw Devon Rice get into the basket on some, but it should be interesting to see, Willie, who puts it together in this game.
We sure did. Yeah, it sure will be. And, just a lot more offense in the last game, which was between a school from Texas and a school from another Wisconsin, Milwaukee area school. Milwaukee area school took till the third quarter to score. That first quarter, the Texas team was up 2-0 at the end. Halftime score was 13-0. I'm sorry for wasting your valuable time with that. But, it's just fantastic. So already stepping in for Faith was number 40, Frankie Napolitano. Sounds like a friend of Frank Sinatra's. Rylan Walter also stepping onto the court for the first time for Faith. And then number 33, that is Riley Rindfleisch returning to the action for Wauwatosa. And Silas Evelyn. No, pardon me. That was not Silas Evelyn. He's still on the bench. Stepping in for Wauwatosa.
Working the ball around here. Las Vegas looking to find their shots. Devon Rice, I believe that'll be a travel call.
That will be, and that shot would have been good.
We'll see Wauwatosa bringing it back up. Well, 3 ties here. And you gotta think, if you're head coach Mark Rindfleisch, this game is not anywhere near out of reach, but your guys have to pick it up if they want to win this.
Absolutely. And
shot is up and good. Silky smooth jumper off the hands of Josh Newpel.
That's exactly what you need if you're Wauwatosa, but now you can't be high on the fumes of that success. Now you need to deliver on defense as well and get the ball back. And that's exactly what they do, and that's Josh Knupel again. Knupel with the rebound. Now Knupel with another three-pointer, and this one just a little off the mark. Ball poked out of bounds by Faith Lutheran of Las Vegas, and it will remain with Faith Lutheran.
One thing you see in these tournaments, lots of loose balls from teams that play sort of a run-and-gun style, but maybe don't always have the best hands. That leads to a lot of loose balls, and that leads to a lot of players sort of diving all over the floor. And we saw a lot of that in the last game on this court. And one right there came very close to having to dive for it. Wound up just letting it sail out of bounds. But definitely something to watch is who can come up with more of those loose balls. Absolutely. And really, that oftentimes decides the game.
Sure does. Younger and less developed players, it's inevitable. There is Con Knupel. Fails to make that down. Knupel on the other end of the court now kicks it out to Josh Knupel, who I'm thinking might be his brother. And foul called against. That looks like the foul is going to go against Frankie Napolitano. Napolitano's not stepping down, but we do have one. Pardon me.
Looks like Leighton Barr coming into the game.
Leighton Barr stepping in, replacing Elliot Barrett, who has a couple points already. Is Josh Knupel driving to the basket. Knupel out to Con Knupel. Now out to, and a three-point shot is no good by Logan Rindfleisch. And now return possession to Faith Nevada.
Here come the Crusaders as have the opportunity here with 4 minutes left to sort of see if they can't pull away here. I guess either team still has enough time to pull away, but both these teams are good enough that I can't really foresee anyone doing that. As one heck of a block there by Logan Rindfleisch, going up and getting it. And that length we see on that defense of St. John's Evangelical Lutheran from Wauwatosa, that could make all the difference in this game, Willie.
Inbound, going to 42, Rylan Walter. Walter's shot is no good. That rebound by 32, Jacob Alejandro. Now pass goes from Con Knupel to Josh Knupel. Knupel guarded by Rylan Walter. Can't get around Devon Rice, and now a whistle. It looks like we're going to get Devon Rice for a reach-in. No, for a push. Push off on Devon Rice, number 11 of Faith Lutheran. Not the first time I've called Faith Lutheran, not even on this side of the court here at VU. You know, it's they have they've had some very skilled teams. I've made it to Valparaiso. Made it into the late rounds here at Valparaiso during the time I've been here.
Working the ball in here. Shot is up, fouled.
Fouled, a push after, really an unnecessary push after the shove by Logan Rindfleisch. Looks like that foul's being charged against Frankie Napolitano, which is his second. And Las Vegas coach Will Stelzer, definitely, trying to set the record straight for young Frankie. First free throw is no good, so at the moment it does no damage. Logan Rindfleisch will look to put St. John's up by a point. 3:22 in the first half remaining here. And that one falls. And the inbound pass from Leighton Barr to Devon Rice, bringing it up. 3:18, 3:17 and counting. 11-10 St. John's Evangelical of Wauwatosa ahead of Faith Lutheran of Las Vegas. Both teams known as the Crusaders. St. John's in blue, Faith Lutheran in crimson and white. And now a short shot is no good from Rylan Walter. Pitches out Josh Knupel back to Knupel. Knupel's three-pointers no good. Rebound Rylan Walter.
Here comes Devon Rice, seeing if he can't put them on the board in this quarter. As a little too much zest on that pass as sailing out of the hands of Leighton Barr. Heck of a pass by Devon Rice and really good court vision finding the open man, but Willie sometimes get a little excited in those passes, get a little too much zing on them.
Yeah, when you talk about loose balls in this tournament, Liam, this run and gun style, you need it's not always that easy to keep.
Great defense
hands
right
on the
there
ball
by the little guy Leighton Barr, forcing the travel. As we've seen a lot of great defensive play from those smaller guards.
Well, that's often what their skill is, that and an unexpected cannon from behind the three-point line.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, at least one team always seems to have one. Every team seems to have at least one each game I've called.
There's plenty of 3-and-D players in the LBAA. A lot of NBA GMs wish they could have as many 3-and-D players as we've seen here. As bringing the ball back up the floor, St. John's.
That is Con Knupel working on Devon Rice. Pull-up jumper, no good. Rebound by 33, Riley Rindfleisch, and now a shot. That's no good. Rebound by Devin Hume. And now Devon Rice. Bring up court. Rice guarded by Con Knupel. Rice goes forward and gets fouled. That one looked like it'll be on Riley Rindfleisch. We'll have to see. It's in the act of shooting. It is on Riley Rindfleisch. That is his first. And I'll put Devon Rice at the line looking to, Rice hit 1 of 2 toward the end of the first quarter.
There's Devon Rice.
It's the first one that ties at 11. Now we'll look to put the Crusaders back atop. The Faith Crusaders led 10-7 at the end of the first quarter.
Really an interesting note. That's the first points they've scored all quarter.
It is after an explosive first quarter. I guess whatever wasn't working on defense for both sides, especially St. John's. They got together and again Rice splits it. So we remain tied at 11. 11:42 and counting in the first half. Josh Knupel over to Kale Aid. Aid can't make it fall. Neither can Riley Rindfleisch. Jump ball and possession returns to Faith Lutheran. Frankie Napolitano, was having a little early foul trouble, with a critical play to return possession. Now Rice and his teammates looking to perhaps Rice himself redeem himself for those 2 missed free throws. Over to Hume. Hume kicks it out to Joshua Brown, who's number 35, and now that pass is stolen. That pass by 23, Hannig was stolen.
Block there by Devon Rice, putting the speed on. And really, that type of quickness in transition cannot be discounted. I mean, you saw him get down the floor in a hurry and defend the shot very well. Interesting fact. Las Vegas is a very underrated basketball city. I mean, you see players like Shabazz Muhammad from there. Anthony Bennett played at UNLV a couple of years ago.
Well, they had the famous, the UNLV running Rebels with the famous and highly controversial coach, Jerry Tarkanian, called Tark the Shark,
Those teams with Larry Johnson, Stacey. Very underrated basketball city. I feel like not having an NBA team, people don't really see you as a big basketball city. But
I think the gambling industry's control over every aspect of that the state of Nevada's civic life might dissuade some people from investing in that city. Now, whether they're justifying that is a totally different matter.
And here, shooting the free throws, is Frankie Napolitano. And that basketball culture in Vegas being proudly represented by these Faith Lutheran Middle School Crusaders.
Probably.
As they're holding a 2-point lead.
And now a foul. That'll be on Rice. That's his second. Fouling Con Knupel. But you are right. Yeah, illustrious basketball tradition there, which I'm sure these young men will be part of. I've been nothing but impressed with Faith Lutheran and everything associated with them since in the 4 years I've been broadcast. It's been my pleasure at multiple games with the Faith Lutheran Crusaders, including this one.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very hard-nosed defensive team. Very tough to play here, as we're seeing. And just as I say that, Josh Knupel strikes back.
Putting Wauwatosa up 14-13. Wauwatosa St. John's Evangelical.
Wauwatosa might not be as big of a basketball city as Vegas is, but they are going toe-to-toe with the guys right now.
Wisconsin's not necessarily, a basketball state in terms of numbers or importance, but there's definitely a distinctive style of Wisconsin basketball that we always get to see here at BU
Shot is
for this
up
tournament.
And good by Keith Cade right there. Is 15 seconds left on the clock. They're going to hold for the last shot here, see what they can get. Shot is up.
And
no good.
I can't make that fall. Hume with the rebound. Hanig just gets the shot off in time. Almost made it. You don't usually see those get made at this level. But, Hume Hanig opened the game with a 3. Almost ended the half with a 3. And Faith Lutheran of Nevada heads to the half of 16-14. Half the end of the game. I thought he said end of the game.
Oh, what? End of the... Okay, we only do it at the end of the game?
Yeah.
Why did you...
Is that what we were trying to do? We're back in Valparaiso, Indiana. Willie Boyd with Liam Bodlick, and the LEAA is back. The LEA tournament is back as Ryan Handig with another, almost with another bucket. Faith Lutheran Crusaders. Devon Rice on the rebound. Kicked it out to number 24, Cade Keith, who was no good. And that looks like a push off on the rebound called against the against the Faith Lutheran Crusaders. Did not catch exactly who that was on, unfortunately. But now taking up for the Wauwatosa St. John Evangelical Lutheran Crusaders is number 12, Con Knoopel. Knoopel looking around Rice. Knoopel tosses it out to, that is Logan Rindfleisch. No good. And now a missed layup by Ryan Hannig, who was frustrated. Devon Rice almost with a huge backcourt steal. Some nice pressure by Bryson Hannig. And now Rice gets called for his third foul. And, he is frustrated, but I understand why.
They got to be careful right there. Getting into foul trouble, as that is not something they want to see Devon Rice in, as he really brings a lot of energy to this team just with his speed at the point guard position.
Yeah, it's often a lot more about, the whole team than just the stats. That speed can't be discounted. You don't want to see Devon Rice in foul trouble perhaps you do if you're Wauwatosa.
Absolutely. They would take away a lot of the transition abilities of this team, as well as just in general your point guard having to sit out. The offense typically runs through them, and every time they got to sit out, the whole offense suffers.
Yes, perhaps we mentioned, Las Vegas, an overlooked basketball program, perhaps due to their lack of basketball city, I should say, due to the lack of NBA team, perhaps. Although there's UNLV, the run and Rebels some memorable years in the 70s. I believe there was a national championship, at least one run under Jerry Tarkanian. Also, as a resident of South Bend, one of Notre Dame's tight ends, Alize Mack, is Las Vegas bred. I believe he graduated from Bishop Gorman.
That's right, and Devin Hume looking like Larry Johnson circa 1990, getting that layup on the inside. Is very closely fought game between both teams, and I think one thing that's been making the difference so far, Willie, the size of the boys from Wauwatosa. They've really done a lot in the front court, as well as three-point shooting, as you saw just off the mark there was Riley Rindfleisch.
Right, and now driving it back, still no points for Wauwatosa. No points for Wauwatosa in the third quarter yet. 4:07 left. Not at all like the first quarter. And now a foul is going to send Ryan Hannig to the free throw line to shoot two. Push this lead a little bit further.
Ryan Hannig, we saw early in the game, hit that three-point shot to open up the scoring. And we'll see if he can get back into that form right now as he misses the first off back iron. Still lots of basketball left to be played, really, and you got to think both teams. One of those rare games where both teams have to be very proud of the way they've played so far. I mean, no one's really given up that much.
Well, those are the best games, even though they're the most worth playing and remembering, even if they're the most heartbreaking to lose.
Second free throw just rims out for Hannig. That has to be frustrating, as in a game this close, every free throw counts. As St. John's John's trailing by 4, I should say. Trailing by 2 now.
Josh Knoopel managed to feed that one to Jake Alejandro, who scores his first points of the half of the game. And that cuts the lead back down to 2, cuts the lead in half, and now Faith Lutheran Crusaders looking to respond. And now Hume with the offensive rebound. Hume kicks it out to another 32. Pardon me. The rebound by third to Jake Alejandro for the Faith Lutheran Crusaders of St. John's. Pardon me, for the St. John's Lutheran Crusaders of Wauwatosa. Now Faith Lutheran Crusaders, Las Vegas, Nevada. And Frankie Napolitano kicks it out to Hannig. Hannig to Cade Keith with a huge three-pointer. Pushes the lead to 5, and now we've got a timeout by St. John's Evangelical Lutheran of Wauwatosa. I think Coach Rindfleisch is going to want to talk things over, don't you, Liam?
Absolutely, and that's just what making that extra pass will do for you as a team, Willie. As we saw, very stingy defense from the Crusaders in blue, but Cade Keith was able to get out on the sort of three-point elbow and just making that extra pass, finding the extra guy. Keith got that wide-open jumper and capitalized. pushing the lead to 21-16. 5-point lead is a heck of a lot bigger than a 2-point lead, especially going down this home stretch in the third quarter.
And, in these back-and-forth games, you can't afford to let your little deficits become somewhat large because then they just keep ballooning. And, you can't, you don't have, the most points to score on a possession usually are going to be 3. And, and unless you can reliably get a stop, the biggest, oh crud moment is going to be when you're ahead, is when you've been playing evenly and then suddenly the other team gets ahead just a little bit, because unless you can get a stop, which you haven't been getting without them stopping you. And that, especially with, the young ladies and gentlemen of this, the middle school tournament, it's this is not NBA. It's not an NBA contest.
Absolutely, Willie. We've seen some pretty good shooting from both these teams so far. It's almost looking like an NBA contest with the amount of sort of 3-and-D mentality.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, like you said, I don't remember if you said this about Faith or about St. John's, but just, a lot of NBA coaches would like to have as many 3-and-D players as. Actually, I think it's good for both of them in a lot of these LBA schools that we call games for.
Oh, absolutely. As here comes Faith Lutheran.
No, St. John's Lutheran.
St. John's Lutheran. Shot is no good. Faith Lutheran going to take it. They got numbers.
Ryan Hannick can't get the fall. Rebound goes to number 24, Josh Knupel. Knupel guarded by Hannick. Knupel to Con Knupel to Riley Renflesh, and stolen away by Ryan Hannick. He's been all over the court so far. Some big plays here for young Mr. Ryan Hannick at number 23 for Faith.
Ryan Hannick just can't get that floater to fall. Great at creating his own shot in space, but
got the rebound, couldn't get the fall either. Then Barnett Elliott, we haven't called his name in a while, makes his return known with a bucket and pushes the lead to 7. And now, the pressure's really on you. What you want to do if you're Faith Lutheran here is make a mistake, and that's the last thing you want if you're St. John's. It's maybe not the biggest mistake, but coming away empty-handed wasn't nice there, as Kayla Eid could not get that three-pointer to fall. And now Frankie Napolitano taking up, passes it over to Cade Keith. Keith with Hannick, now flips it to Hannick. Hannick looking around, 1:37 and counting in the third. Hannick driving. Hannick over to Napolitano. Napolitano driving in. Napolitano over to Keith. Keith to Barnett and again, and now Barnett's going to the free throw line. And that call, it looks like they're going to get Con Knupel for fouling young Barnett Elliott in the act of shooting, and Elliott's first free throw is no good. 1:23 left in the third. So, Lena, what do you think might be going through Coach Mark Seltzer's mind?
Well, if you're Coach Mark Seltzer, you have to be thinking that's a good start right there, but you have to be thinking keep finding your open guys, as we've seen Ryan Hannick so great at creating his open shot in space. We've seen Devon Rice, when he's on the floor, do pretty well at setting guys up. And we've seen Barrett Elliott sort of muscling his way to the basket. And so if you can just lean on the guys that can create their own shots, that spells trouble. As 3-point there is up and good by Con Knupel.
Just what Wauwatosa St. John's needed at this point.
Absolutely. They've been hanging tough with them through 3-point shooting and through defense.
Lead down to 5. Ryan Hannick looks up, push back to 7, and he will. So, again, Hannick coming through in the clutch. These clutch players, it's always a thrill to see them. They did not drive all the way out here to the Midwest just to roll over.
Absolutely. You have to think that factors in.
To the mentality.
Coming all of this way, feeling like a little bit of an outsider as far as being a West Coast team playing in the Midwest.
Yeah, they're the furthest West Coast team that I have seen regularly, because I've never called the same California or wherever team more than once as far back as I can remember.
In goes Barrett Elliott.
And now trying to flip it out was Hume, but the loose ball gets picked up by Con Knupel, who drives, and Knupel is fouled by Ryan Hannick. And is that his second foul, I believe?
I believe so, as Knupel will head to the line.
Not that big a deal. 3, my goodness. We hadn't so distracted by this amazing play. We hadn't even seen the clock and tick down to 3 seconds left in the third. So these are some huge free throws.
3 seconds left in the third. 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 3 seconds left in the
from Knoeppel.
Opportunity here as he makes the first. Opportunity here, Willie. Make this into a 5-point game, which extremely manageable deficit, 6 or 5, but you got to think it being a shorter 2-possession game has to be good for them.
Absolutely.
As Knoeppel hits the second of 2.
And now Hanig, second time in the last 2 quarters that Hanig has tried for a long 3 and has failed. But, that shows how much trust they have. And so now, we've got ourselves a ball game here, Liam. We'll keep it here. What thoughts do you have heading in this fourth quarter for both these squads?
Well, going into the fourth, you have to think they're going to dance with the girl that brought them there. I mean, we've seen the Knoeppel brothers, Josh and Con Knoeppel, really been doing a great job here. We've seen Josh Knoeppel hitting a couple of threes. We've seen Con Knoeppel hitting a 3 and getting to the basket. And they're going to keep leaning on them for their scoring, as Logan Reinfleisch has also been involved in the scoring here. As really a lot to like about this game, Willie. On the other side of things, if you're Faith Lutheran, you look at Barrett Elliott, who's done a great job getting those rebounds and getting to the basket. Devin Hume, you see him on the bench right now, brings them a lot of size. We could see him get some time here. And Keith Cade doing a great job shooting. Ryan Hanig really.
Cade Keith.
I'm reading off the roster, but
that happens to me all the time, especially when, 2 first names, they call it.
Ryan Hanig doing a great job of creating his own shot. As I mentioned so many times, it's really impressive to see a player. Not too many players have that skill that Hanig does of being able to sort of get your man off you and create your own shot, and that'll fare him really well as this game goes down the home stretch.
I think it's kind of funny that you mentioned the Faith Lutheran Crusaders on West Coast, because I imagine for a lot of people in that area, UNLV would obviously a big draw. You have West, especially in other sports. You have UCLA, one of the illustrious, Then you have some other California schools perhaps better known for football than basketball, like USC, Stanford, Cal. You have Gonzaga out in Washington State, ranked number 1. You have then Wisconsin doesn't have that much to be ashamed of either. You have the Badgers, the Milwaukee Panthers, and the Marquette Golden Eagles. There's also enough of grounds there for the various Chicago, mostly private schools like DePaul and Loyola. Although it wouldn't surprise me if Chicago State or UIC can pick off a few fans or recruits here and there.
Absolutely.
Indiana.
Speaking of picking off, doing a good job playing those passing lanes is Faith Lutheran. As aggressive defense there, but allowing St. John's to corral that offensive board. 3-point shot up and no good.
Now, Josh Knoeppel with the rebound and the shot. Now he's headed to the free throw line, and this could put them within 2 points, which was not the way the direction of the game was going. Definitely, although it is not the direction the game was going. And if you're in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin, probably think there's a change for the better. I mean, the state of even Valparaiso to some extent, that's a basketball culture that would have a presence in Wisconsin. We have a lot of Wisconsin students who gone to this university. I hope, would not shot. We have some of the young men and women from Wisconsin who we see playing in this tournament eventually come here. Definitely the publicity, the advertising does not hurt, if you get what I'm saying.
Timeout called on the floor here. 26-24. It's really been neck and neck the entire way. A lot of games you see with a score like this going into the home stretch, it's been a game of runs, but we haven't seen too many teams going on runs at all. This has pretty much been both teams just stacking points one on top of another, and Willie, something's got to give here.
Something's got to give, and neither team can afford to be complacent. We just started the fourth quarter. There's so much basketball left to be played. Now, we have seen more than one overtime game here already. That was why you might have been a little delayed. Apologies to anybody out a little further west who might have gotten up early to see the end of a stream of the game between two teams that didn't recognize. There was an overtime game on this court this morning.
And we're here now, and Faith Lutheran doing their best to represent the West Coast here, as we're seeing them taking this 26-24 lead and trying to hold it. Faith Lutheran coming out here.
You talk about their mentality as, the visitors, the outsiders, to prove something. Well, I wonder if Wauwatosa might be thinking, this is our house. This is our region. We're going to defend our house. And the fact that, Wisconsin, especially Wisconsin Lutherans, having a connection to Valpo, if such a sentiment exists, probably strengthens it. I'd like to remind everyone coming to Valparaiso University is the greatest decision I ever made in my life.
Absolutely is. Working the ball around here. Here comes Ryan Hannig, seeing if he can't find something for himself.
He has in the past. He's trying to now. Hannig, pivots and tosses it over to 24, Kate Keith. Keith driving out to Devon Rice. Rice looking around. Rice will go for a long three and almost got a go. Huge rebound there by Barrett Elliott. Back out to Kate Keith, back out to Ryan Hannig. So the ball stays in Faith Lutheran's possession. And Hannig can't get the rebound by Hume. Hume kicks out to Devon Rice. Devon Rice for three. Can't get that one to fall. And finally, St. John's comes up with it.
St. John's working the ball at the timeline. Still lots of basketball left to be played, Willie, but you got to think they got to come up with something sooner rather than later.
As do I, and that's not what they wanted to come up with. Looks like a travel was called against the St. John Evangelical Crusaders. And Faith Lutheran takes over again. And again, Faith Lutheran coming with a critical offensive rebound, a skill that sometimes you need to have. Devon Rice there with a big one. And now Hannig, who's been one of the top players, is fouled as he shoots.
Ryan Hannig will get himself to the line there. That's really the mark, Willie, of a good shooting guard, is being able to find. You see it in the NBA with James Harden, being able to find points any way possible. And a lot of that is getting to the free throw line as Hannig makes his first of two.
Would you happen to know anything about where St. John's Evangelical, if they tend to feed to any high school Lutheran or otherwise in that area? Because I have not lived in Wisconsin since 2007, so I really couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you either. All I know is they're making Wauwatosa very proud today.
I know.
Still lots of basketball left to be played, and that 24-27 deficit, that's a one-possession lead, Willie.
Well, simply getting here should make the whole city of Wauwatosa and the area around it proud. And I think, playing this late in the tournament, even though it's just less than the morning of the second day, plenty of teams come all the way out here, lose twice, and go home.
Oh, absolutely. This St. John's team's got staying power as we're taking a little break in the action here.
This is not one of those round-robin tournaments, The ultimate fate is that a certain number of teams do just lose twice and go straight home. Remind me, is this a consolation or is this a winner's bracket?
I'm not 100% sure about that. We could get you that information later, but
it would not surprise me if a lot of the people tune in to watch back home would know.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of very devoted fan bases, which I really love about this tournament. That might be my favorite part about this tournament, is the fans.
Always impresses me.
Absolutely. The people who come out here, the people who go to there's a bunch of watch parties I know at a lot of the schools. That's very wholesome, and that's something that really makes this a special tournament. The amount of enthusiasm every program in this tournament has for their fans.
Sports build character, and this is... And, in a wholesome way, that's something that, a parochial school like these two fine Lutheran schools definitely are out to do, like this Lutheran University would be out to do. And I say that without bias as someone who's a Catholic. And that attempt by Knupel, that's Josh Knupel is good, and that cuts the lead to 1 point. So now I'm thinking, if you're Coach Seltzer and the Faith Lutheran Crusaders, I think this is really the time we want to step up for Las Vegas. Devon Rice looking to do that. And
tough traveling call right there. Rice cannot be happy with that. He looks a little confused, sort of looking around the
I think court. Rice thought Con Knupel was going to be called for fouling. I think Con Knupel thought he was going to be called for fouling.
That looked like it could have gone either way, but
refs say it was a travel.
The ref's opinion is what matters.
And there Knupel and Rice, the old nemesis, meeting up. Knupel gets around Rice, puts that one up over Kate Keith, can't get the fall. Rebound. Oh, we're going to have a tied ball here. And that returns possession to Faith Lutheran.
2:53 on the clock. Faith Lutheran holding on to that 1-point lead. Still anyone's game, and you have to think, Willie, someone's got to come up big in these next few minutes.
Absolutely.
Shots up and good. That was number 41, Devin Hume. I mentioned him going into the fourth quarter. He brings some size to this game that you really can't match anywhere.
And that long shot, wasn't able to catch who that was. Rice has it knocked away by Knoepel, but Ryan Hannig takes up, can't get the fall. Rebound by Barnett Elliott, who's been great under the rim. Out to Ryan Hannig. Hannig, was trying to twist it around. Barnett tried to save it, stepped on the line. Oh, no, there's a timeout. So Coach Seltzer, took a timeout just the right moment. If you want to, a sample of the ways this could be going, how good a game this is, how blessed we are to be able to call it. Well, they just shifted. They just reset the clocks for the game on the other end. The girls' game on the other end of the gym just ended with the final score of 44-10.
Absolutely, Willie. You look at, I think this score really tells the story of this game. These teams are playing very good defense while at the same time having good shooting nights, and it's really something that you love to see just as a fan of the game. I mean, regardless of what team you're a fan of, you have to love both teams standing strong against each other and both teams not giving an inch. As really, this is more exciting than watching the blowout no matter where you're from or no matter who you're cheering for.
Absolutely. The thing that's really that really kind of stinks about this, one team eventually does need to lose. And not, this is one of those you just think neither team, at least based on these first 22 minutes, deserves to lose. It's a matter of, this is like whoever wins this game, nobody loses this game. One team's going to win it. That's how I once heard a football coach here in Indiana describe it.
And here comes St. John's working the ball around.
Knoepel can't get the shot off, but foul. And, Seltzer frustrated with that, as you might have seen. Well, no, out of camera view, dancing backwards in frustration a little bit over on the Faith Lutheran sideline. As Knoepel heads the line, hoping to pull within at least within 1 or 2 points here. First shot on the way. It is good.
Josh Knoepel has the opportunity here, Willie. Bring his team within 1, and you have to believe they're one set play away from getting a win here. As makes the second one, and that'll make it a 29-28 game with just under 2 minutes remaining.
And the momentum right now is honestly on St. John's side, and Coach Seltzer over from Vegas definitely recognizing that and calling a timeout. So the Vegas Faith Crusaders call a timeout, still ahead by 1, but you can't really, my old man always tells me, Team X is not winning 7-3, they are ahead 7-3. And, you can't really say, I think Coach Seltzer understands Faith Lutheran's not really winning so much as ahead by a single point. That's, what do you think he's talking about over in that Coach Seltzer and his assistant, whose name I cannot locate on this roster? What do you think they're telling their young men over there? And what do you think Coach Rindfleisch is telling his young men over on the Wisconsin side?
Well, if I'm Coach Seltzer, I'm telling my players defense, defense, defense. I mean, just one stop here, and they have the means to get it. We've seen Devon Rice be very active in those passing lanes. You've seen everyone standing strong. And that Twin Towers type duo of Devon Hume and Barrett Elliott has spelled trouble for the interior players of St. John's. And so if St. John's gets a bucket in the paint, look for Hume and Elliott to be all over it. But Willie, what has to worry me is St. John's shooting acumen. And we've seen both the Knoepel brothers shooting the lights out today.
Well, that's why, they say defense wins championships. They also say a good defense, the best defense is a good offense. They, quote-unquote, need to make up their mind. But definitely the pressure.
Rebound corralled there.
The pressure should be on the offense, especially with the offensive rebounds. As Kate Keith, way too much air on that one. And that, like I said, is Josh Knubel hauling that one in with 125 and counting. St. John's looking to reclaim the lead. You know, Faith Lutheran has been ahead for most of this game. Never been able to put the St. John's away quite. And now a foul called. I believe that is on Kate Keith. And at least Devon Rice and maybe some others on the Faith Lutheran side wanted to travel. They'll send him, you know, one make ties it. Para gives St. John's Evangelical Crusaders the lead.
High pressure situation for Newport here. First shot is up and good.
And St. John's has tied it up. Now St. John's are hoping to take the lead.
And Willie, right now, Josh Newport has the whole game in the palm of his hands right now, has the opportunity to push their margin.
Well, not push their margin, give them the margin. And that's what he does. It's a 1-point lead. At one point, mind the score is 24-16. Faith. Now it's St. John's 30-29. We've got a timeout. So, you know, Liam, maybe you have a few more thoughts about how we talk about Coach Seltzer over there. How about Coach Rinfleisch over on the St. John side? Also, why don't you tell our audience about the lady near center court, who's one of the referees this afternoon?
Well, the lady near center court, her name escapes me, but I know for a fact that she's refereed a bunch of Division I games, and that's, as a referee, you don't really think about it too much, but there's a lot of pressure on these referees to make the right call and whatnot, and to sort of make sure everyone's represented very fairly, and so having that experience is very good. But looking into the huddles right now, if you're Coach Stelzer, you have to be thinking who's the guy you want to give you the bucket, and I think this is going to rest on Ryan Hannick's shoulders right now, as we've seen him be the go-to guy in those close situations where they need a bucket. And so it should be interesting to see if they go to him or whether they see whether Devon Rice or whether Kate Keith, who's been shooting pretty well today, whether they go for shots for them. And another X factor is their offensive rebounding. Hume and Elliott are both great on the boards, and so if we see them, they might throw up a shot, but we might see Hume or Elliott take the offensive rebound and try to get that second chance bucket. And here we go. Keith to inbound. They've got 1:12 on the clock here. Rice will bring it up.
Pushed Rice way back. Perhaps Faith Lutheran are going to take their time how they want to go about ending this. Pardon me, about executing this.
There you go. Shot is up. It's good.
Hannig goes up again. Right now, I'd award the player of the game to Ryan Hannig, which shows how much he's accomplished considering how much everyone else has. And a jump ball.
Coach Stelzer wanted to travel there. He is not happy with that call at all.
As I've seen, getting even more animated than I'd seen him before in this game, and now it looks like his contemporary, Coach Reinfeldt, calls an SJELS timeout, and just to set up exactly what's going to happen here.
And really, if you're the St. John's Evangelical Lutheran team, if you're the Crusaders here, Willie, what are you doing?
Well, you want to score. It needs to be methodological. You have time to be methodological, especially because you're only down 1 point. You don't want to waste it. You don't need to take too long to score or to score too quickly. And the key thing is, as soon as you score, you transition to defense. You have to be ready to transition to defense and then go back to offense no matter what happens on the next basket. Points so hard to come by. You need to be thinking things through. I think, they have so many good shooting, so many good shooting players. I think here the key thing is, make the most of this opportunity, because if Faith Lutheran takes it back with a 1-point lead, if the Crusaders take a 1 or 2 point lead here, then it might be okay if Lutheran ties or retakes the lead on their next possession.
They're going to run a set play. They're stacked here. Should be interesting to see what they do here.
Out to Con Knupel, around Rice Knupel, to Ryan Fleisch, back to Con Knupel, Knupel to Josh Knupel. Knupel out to Con Knupel, guarded by Devon Rice. Kicks it out to Logan Reinfleisch, back to Josh Knupel.
Trying to find their shot. Shot is up. Just gets the lucky bounce. 26 seconds left. They're going to have to hurry here. They got 20 seconds left on the clock, Willie, down 1.
And now another timeout call by Josh Seltzer. And what do you think? Like, do you think Faith Lutheran holds the last shot here? I think they would.
I think they definitely – or actually, if I'm Faith Lutheran, I'm trying to let a shot go with maybe 10 seconds on the clock, as you don't want to leave St. John's too much time on the clock, but at the same time, you want to give yourself insurance in the event that you are to miss the shot, because, again, their offensive rebounding has been great today.
And you also –
as it's not very too implausible to see either Barrett Elliott or Devon Hume scooping the ball up and giving them that lead. So I don't know if you necessarily hold for the last shot, but you definitely don't want to leave St. John's too much time on the clock. As what a shot. Credit where credit's due. Josh Newpel splashing I'm sorry, that wasn't Josh Newpel. I believe that was Logan Reinfleisch splashing that jumper. And now here come the Crusaders of Faith Lutheran trying to put an end to this stellar game. See what they can find here. Ball inside. Shot is up. It's good.
Ryan Hatton, then that shot is good by Barrett. Puts him up by a point there. You saw maybe at the very lower right edge of your screen, you saw Ryan Hatton celebrating his teammate's success.
And if they're gonna have their guys kind of hang back. Faith Lutheran will smart move on Stelzer's part. And now Barrett Elliott. If you can make this a 2-point game, Willie, they're going to have to run down the floor, and they can't win. They can only tie or possibly win with a 3-point shot. They could win with a 3-point
shot, which the way they're shooting, they definitely have the skill to get that set up. I just don't know if they have the time to get it set up. It definitely, even with the clock stopping, if Elliott sinks this free throw.
If Elliott misses, that could take some more time off the clock. Shot is up. It's no good, and they got to hurry.
8 seconds left. 7 seconds left. Knoepel driving. Stolen by Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan's called for the foul.
Hannigan called for the foul, and they are in the bonus. And that means Knoepel comes to the line with the opportunity to send his team forward in this LBAA tournament.
Hannigan with another, then Hannigan, frustrating, just the Faith Lutheran sideline goes silent. Knoepel's first shot is no good.
Knoepel looking pretty frustrated there.
Timeout, St. John's.
This is a little bit like icing the kicker in football.
Well, no, St. John's calls the timeout.
A little bit like icing your own kicker in football. As they have the opportunity here to tie the game up, as with 4 seconds left, it's highly unlikely that Faith Lutheran could run a play if they were to make that free throw and tie the game. Calling timeout. It should be interesting to see what they're calling the timeout for, as all Knoepel really has to do is shoot this second free throw. Maybe they have a play designed for coming off of it, but should be really interesting to see what the front court guys do in the event of a miss. Or it should be even more interesting to see whether the shot goes in. Knoepel right here. He's had one heck of a game, and he has the opportunity to send this into overtime. Shot is up, and it's
good. And Knoepel evading what might have been a long, lonely bus ride back to Wabasota. Hannig barely got it off in time, and we're going to overtime again. Now we've heard this song before, haven't we, Liam?
OT coming up for these teams. Clutch shot right there by Knoepel, and he looked really frustrated after that first miss, but absolutely redeeming himself on the second shot. Is a little different than a normal quarter overtime is, Willie. They only got 3 minutes.
3 minutes of free basketball, I was just about to say. Took the words right out of my mouth.
Absolutely. And we're going to see here, Willie. Here's a question. Do you think they play any more different in overtime, or do you think they kind of go with the same strategy? As a lot of times those overtimes, players get tired legs. It's harder to get jump shots up, and it's harder to run in transition. But would you change anything if your coach is Ryan Flesch and Stelzer, or you just keep on going with what's going on?
I'm going to defer to the coaches on that decision, just because on the one I want to think, what they've been doing. It's been working so far, and it seems to tune to their players' strengths. But, hasn't been working. If it were really working, one of them would have come away with the victory at this point. Oh, yeah, this game, just gets more intense with every passing moment. I know it's going to be a lot more rewarding for whichever of these two teams comes out on top, of course.
Here come the Crusaders now with the opportunity. Both the Crusaders with the opportunity to advance in this tournament.
And a charge, and Ryan Fleisch and his assistants, pretty furious with that call. We'll turn the ball to Faith Lutheran.
Not happy with that call at all, Willie.
I didn't actually see the charge. I might just not have been looking closely enough. Pitches out to Barrett Elliott. Barrett Elliott guarded by Logan Reinfleisch. But no, it was Riley Reinfleisch. Back to Von Rice, back to Ryan Hannig. Coach Selcher watches from the sideline. Hannig drives in, and the sea of blue is, no, he's not fouled. Can't get his own rebound. And was that a foul on Hannig, or was that a
confusion
jump
on
ball?
The face of Ryan Hannig?
I couldn't tell if that was a foul or jump ball. Oh, it was a foul on Hannig. That's how many is that on Ryan Hannig now? Because you don't want to see him step off the court if you're Las Vegas.
Absolutely not. You just look kind of confused as to what exactly, because that looked like a clean play. It looked like he got all ball, but Hannig right now looks like he'll be headed to the bench, as will number 42, Rylan Walter, who was getting some time early in this overtime period.
Frankie Napolitano stepping back on the court. Or not. Or, yes, he is. Just, a few words with Coach Selter. Now a free ball rolling onto the court, and Con Knupel rolls it back to whoever it was who put that there. It seemed to have fallen down from one of the practice gyms up top right next to us. And the first shot is good. And Kale Aid with the first points of overtime, 31 seconds in, and puts St. John's of Wauwatosa ahead by a point. Can't extend the lead, and 1 point deficit. Faith Lutheran Crusaders bring it right back up there.
They got the opportunity here to advance further in this tournament. 2 minutes left to play. St. John's holding on to a 1 point lead. Not anymore, as the 3-point shot by Cade Keith was nothing but net. Shot off, no good. Faith Lutheran getting the rebound here.
And now time running down, and now Faith Lutheran obviously content to gobble up the clock. Napolitano to Hume. Hume back to Devon Rice, who's just been really showing up today. Rice gets around, and that foul is going to go against Con Knupel. Con Knupel and his brother Josh really been showing up today for St. John's of Wauwatosa, but that's going to send Rice to the line with these two huge free throws. Enormous, and Devon Rice might just be a very popular young man on the way back to, in the hours after this game, if he at least sinks this next free throw. Missing the first one.
Second free throw here coming up. No good.
No. Rebounded by Logan Reinfleisch. Taken up by Con Knupel. Knupel to, couldn't tell who that was. Now back to Con Knupel, who takes the shot and hits it and ties it. And we're tied at 36 with 1:12 and counting.
All tied up, Willie. And 1 minute left to play. Tie ball game. Two very competitive teams. This is what it's all about, Willie. This capacity crowd here for St. John's. The Faith Lutheran faithful staying quiet right now, but you have to believe that
Faith Lutheran not that far away from capacity, though not quite, though a little bit more room in between the fans over there. One or two of them might be from the school waiting, especially the man in the Trojan costume.
Working the ball around here is Rice trying to find something here. Stutter stepping a little bit. Clock is down to 30. Looks like they'll kill some clock before doing anything.
I wouldn't think they would hold for the last shot this early.
Calling a timeout here is Coach Stelzer. Looks like he's not really too sure what was going on in that possession. Wants to kind of go over it with his guys one more time before they get the opportunity to make that one last effort here. 26 seconds on the clock, Willie. You got to think they hold for the final shot here, but at the same time, you might not want. Actually, no, there's not too much of a risk for not really holding for the final shot. It's a tie game, and the worst case scenario is you go into overtime.
Well, if you hold it too long, but then you turn it over somehow, that allows St. John's to run out the clock and score.
Absolutely. If you're St. John's, that defense is good enough that it's very difficult to keep a possession going against them for 26 seconds.
Which is why they might want to score. If they score quickly, that forces St. John's. St. John's does have some good 3-point shooters. So we'll see if Seltzer shows us how he got the team to Indiana with what happens in the next 26 seconds.
23 on the clock, tie ball game. Next shot, in all likelihood, wins it. Rice trying to find some. Hounded on defense right now. Getting to the rack here, behind the back pass, and he'll be fouled. Putting the style on was Devon Rice, and now Barrett Elliott has 2 very big free throws ahead of him, Willie.
And that's rough for Con Knoopel. For Josh Knoopel, who's been showing up all day. But, Barrett Elliott, if he thinks he sinks even one of them, and he sinks one of them.
First shot is good here. Now, it should be interesting to see. They'll probably hang some people back, as you don't want them to be able to run that fast break. But
right.
Elliott, second shot is up. It's good. Timeout called there.
To nobody's surprise, a timeout. I was just thinking, I think that those free throws will determine what happens, because I don't think they have enough time to get it down there and hit from 2. But, a miracle from 3, or even get it down there for a manageable 3. And St. John's, a lot of pressure.
Well, Willie, crazier things have happened in 5 seconds. 5 seconds is definitely enough time to get at least a shot off. You're not going to really have the look that you want with only a 5-second margin to get that shot off in, but they got good enough shooters on this St. John's team that really any shot Josh Knoopel or Con Knoopel get are shots that you'd want to take. We saw Logan Reinfleisch hitting a huge elbow jumper to send this game into overtime originally, and we're probably going to see one of those guys get their number called again right now. As 5 seconds, Will, you got to think it's inbound, dribble, shoot. You can't. There is no